Most popular explanations of the Trinity are very close to heretical. I don't mean that provocatively, I mean it technically. The water, ice, steam analogy, that's modalism, condemned in 325 AD. The three-leaf clover, partialism, condemned at Constantinople. God wears three hats, modalism again. But here's what's interesting. There's a way to test Trinity models in an almost scientific manner, using the same criteria we use to evaluate physics theories. And when you do, only one model passes, the one the Church Fathers defended 1700 years ago. In previous videos, I've shown you that reality exhibits pervasive explanatory twofoldness. Independent domains, all structured by asymmetric dependence and mutual constitution. The Christian claim is that this differentiated unity is grounded in the Trinity. If God's nature flows into God's works, then we should be able to test Trinity models using the explanatory indispensability test. If the Trinity is the ground of reality, then it must instantiate the same relational logics we observe in creation. Does the model preserve distinctness, joint necessity, irreducibility, the correct relational logics? Let's find out. Social Trinitarianism is probably the most popular modern model. It says the Trinity is three persons, much in the same way a family or a society is. The Father, Son, and Spirit are distinct centers of consciousness who share a common divine essence and cooperate perfectly. This may sound good. It emphasizes the three persons part. But what happens when we apply the explanatory indispensability test? It passes distinctness. The three persons are distinct. It passes joint necessity. Each person has a distinct role. But then when it comes to irreducibility, it reduces the Trinity down to three separate persons who cooperate. That's not one God, that's a divine committee. For explanatory centrality, it fails. Social models emphasize external relations. For relational logic, it fails. It exhibits cooperation, not asymmetric dependence. So therefore, social Trinitarianism would fail the explanatory indispensability test. Social Trinitarianism reduces the Trinity to three separate persons who cooperate. That's not one God, that's a divine committee, a pantheon. The unity becomes merely functional. They work together really well, but that's not ontological unity, that's social coordination. Augustine's psychological model says the Trinity is like the mind, memory, understanding, and will. This was built for its time, but does it pass the test? In terms of distinctness, we have a failure off the bat. Memory, understanding, and will aren't three distinct persons, they're three faculties of one person. In terms of irreducibility, it fail. They can be analysed as processes in one consciousness. In terms of relational logic, it would fail. Memory doesn't beget understanding. In terms of a verdict, psychological models fail. They reduce persons to aspects. Psychological analogies don't exhibit asymmetric dependence or mutual constitution between the persons. Memory doesn't beget understanding. Will doesn't proceed from memory and understanding in any ontological sense. The relations are functional, not constitutive. Psychological models fail. They reduce persons to aspects. Classical Trinitarianism The model defended at Nicaea, Constantinople, and Chalcedon says one divine essence, three hypostases, distinguished solely by relations of origin. The Father is unbegotten, the source. The Son is begotten of the Father, eternally generated. The Spirit proceeds from the Father and Son. These aren't three separate beings. They're three subsistent relations within the one divine essence. Now let's put it to the test. It passes distinctness. Persons are really distinct. It passes joint necessity. You can't have the Father without the Son. You can't have the Spirit without the Father and the Son. It passes irreducibility. You cannot reduce the Son to the Father or the Spirit to the Son or vice versa. Passes explanatory centrality. The distinctions are load-bearing, and it passes the relational logics. Begetting, you have asymmetric dependence. Father begets the Son, not vice versa. You also have the Spirit proceeding, which exhibits asymmetric dependence. We also have co-inherence, which exhibits mutual constitution. So the persons mutually indwell each other. So classical Trinitarianism passes all five criteria. The Church Fathers weren't just doing theology. They were describing the deep structure of reality itself, and modern science is confirming it. So why does this matter? Because if the Trinity is the ground of reality, then getting the Trinity right isn't just theological correctness, it's understanding the deep grammar of existence. Social Trinitarianism predicts reality should be ultimately plural, but that's not what we find. Classical Trinitarianism predicts one essence with internal relational distinctions, asymmetric dependence, and mutual constitution. And that's exactly what we observe at every level in every domain. In the next video, I'm going to show you how the incarnation, the hypostatic union of divine and human natures in Christ, is the ultimate example of differentiated unity, and why heresies about Christ fail the explanatory indispensability test in the same way that Trinity models do. We'll also be putting forward a challenge to non-believers.